Just 2 days ago, I underwent my final procedure, the end of a brutal 5-year battle. 5 years of pain, surgeries, and endless hospital visits. At times, it felt like my body was betraying me. One section of my spine was cut off from vital spinal fluid, leaving it trapped and starved. Every day was a fight, every step a reminder of the agony I carried. But now, the main fight is over, and this is the story of how I survived it. For nearly 3 relentless months, Ozzy Osbourne lived in unthinkable, diabolical agony, a battle that would push even the strongest to their limits. On July 22, 2025, the world lost the godfather of heavy metal, the legendary founder of Black Sabbath, at the age of 76. His death sent shockwaves across the globe, leaving fans heartbroken and desperate for answers. Behind the headlines and tributes, however, lay a darker truth, one that few knew until now. Recently, Ozzy's personal doctor stepped forward, breaking years of silence to reveal the harrowing reality of his final months. The truth paints a picture far more tragic than the public ever imagined, a story of relentless illness, excruciating pain, and the haunting consequences of a past that refused to stay buried. What really claimed the life of the Prince of Darkness? And was his suffering the final chapter of a destiny written long ago? The bombshell revelations from Ozzy Osbourne's personal doctor have opened a window into the agony that defined his final years, a truth fans around the world had never heard. Behind the electrifying stage presence and decades of rock and roll glory was a man enduring a private war against his own body. The last months of the Prince of Darkness were dominated by pain so severe it left even those closest to him shaken. According to his doctor, Ozzy's health struggles were relentless and unforgiving. Parkinson's disease, diagnosed in 2019, slowly stripped him of his mobility, robbing him of the physical freedom he had once commanded so effortlessly. Spinal injuries compounded his suffering, leaving him in near constant agony, while the long-term consequences of a lifetime of addiction etched themselves into every muscle and memory. These illnesses didn't just weaken his body, they became an unrelenting storm, one he fought against until his very last breath. Parkinson's disease impacts the body's movements, leading to symptoms such as tremors, balance issues, and muscle stiffness. These challenges forced Ozzy to struggle daily just to keep some degree of mobility. In the last months of his life, Ozzy's ability to move became increasingly compromised. Tremors became more frequent, making eating and performing basic tasks extremely difficult. Moreover, Ozzy faced additional challenges like balance loss and muscle weakness, which further complicated his daily movements and activities. Despite his efforts with various medications and physical therapy, his condition showed little improvement. His doctor disclosed that Ozzy endured constant pain due to the illness. While treatments offered some relief, they failed to alleviate the defining symptoms of Parkinson's. Alongside Parkinson's, Ozzy Osbourne also battled severe pain from spinal injuries incurred during years of performing. The time spent on stage delivering powerful performances took a significant toll on his body. After multiple accidents and injuries while performing, Ozzy underwent several surgeries to address his spinal injuries and other related health issues. The chronic pain from these spinal injuries gradually intensified, making it increasingly difficult for Ozzy to move freely. His doctor indicated that initial treatments, including physical therapy and painkillers, were ineffective in relieving the long-term pain he had to face. Despite this, Ozzy persevered through the pain with the help of pain management therapies and sedatives, but the outcomes were far from what he had hoped. This unbearable pain not only affected his mobility but also greatly diminished his quality of life in his later years. A significant factor influencing Ozzy's health in his final years was the enduring impact of his past addictions. During his career, Ozzy was enmeshed in a web of drink, drugs, and smoking. And these problems have long-lasting effects. His body and health were still impacted by the harm from his past, even though he stopped abusing drugs in the late 1980s. His physician noted that his early career drug and alcohol usage had seriously harmed his internal organs, especially his kidneys, liver, and cardiovascular system. His renal and liver issues remained throughout his life, and that he occasionally needed to take medicine to maintain the health of these organs. Addiction also had a serious negative effect on Ozzy's mental health, causing him to battle anxiety and sadness for many years. Despite his best efforts, the effects of his previous addictions continued to play a significant role in his quickly declining health. Throughout his career, Ozzy dealt with a number of severe health problems associated with his drug use, in addition to his Parkinson's and spinal injuries. His liver and kidneys had been harmed by his previous drug and alcohol misuse, which had resulted in long-term health issues. According to his doctors, his body's capacity to operate normally was further compromised by liver and renal problems brought on by his continuous use of addictive narcotics. Furthermore, in his later years, Ozzy also experienced serious cardiac issues. After beating addiction, he made an effort to get healthier, but the repercussions of his past continued to weaken his body. According to Ozzy's personal physician, these persistent health problems made it difficult for him to continue with his regular activities and necessitated that he live under the continual supervision of his family and nurses. The second is the reasons behind Ozzy's ailments. Ozzy Osbourne had to deal with the fallout from a history he made for himself throughout his life in addition to physical issues. Despite becoming a legend in the music industry, Ozzy was unable to avoid the negative effects of a turbulent life and bad habits. According to doctors, Ozzy's past, specifically, his years of addiction and the demands of his job, is one of the primary causes of his current health state. Addiction, especially to alcohol and narcotics, is one of the biggest issues harming Ozzy Osbourne's health. Ozzy was enmeshed in a cycle of substance misuse for the whole of his career. Even though he stopped many years ago, the consequences still haunt him. According to his doctor, Ozzy had a history of heavy drug and alcohol usage in his early career, especially in the 1970s and 1980s. These drugs had a negative impact on his mental and emotional well-being in addition to harming his physical health. Vital organs like the liver, kidneys, and heart suffered significant harm as a result of the misuse of these drugs. The result of his years of addiction was cardiovascular issues, including arrhythmia. Additionally, doctors revealed that Ozzy's liver and kidneys had suffered greatly from addiction, which had weakened their performance throughout the course of his life. Ozzy put a lot of effort into overcoming his addiction, but the wounds from his past still plagued him. His body was unable to fight off additional illnesses like Parkinson's or problems with his spine since his immune system had deteriorated, even after he made an effort to stop. In addition to addiction, Ozzy had a lot of pressure from life in the music business. Physicians noted that during his career, Australians experienced serious psychiatric problems as a result of his notoriety, criticism, and the ongoing stress of being in the spotlight. Being the center of attention was never easy. Ozzy had to deal with constant pressure from the public, enormous fan expectations, and private mental struggles that few people were aware of. Ozzy was a strong performer on stage. He battled anxiety and sadness off stage. According to doctors, the stress of living caused the Australian to struggle with mental health concerns for many years. These mental health issues not only impacted his emotional state but also harmed his physique, resulting in declining health in the entertainment sector. He was more mentally fragile as a result of years of living under public criticism, which only made other health issues worse. Doctors also disclosed that some of the health problems that Australians faced may have a genetic component in addition to lifestyle considerations. One of the primary causes of Ozzy's health decline, Parkinson's disease, might have run in his family. Ozzy may have developed the disorder because of her family history, which includes members who have experienced comparable conditions. According to medical professionals, a person's genetic makeup greatly influences their risk of contracting conditions like Parkinson's. Genetic influences cannot be disregarded, even though environmental circumstances and an unhealthy lifestyle were major contributors. This also clarifies why Ozzy's Parkinson's disease advanced so swiftly and profoundly affected his health in his latter years. Despite his efforts to be healthy, Ozzy's condition deteriorated in part because early treatment of the illness was postponed. Doctors claim that because Australians delayed seeking medical attention when symptoms first occurred, Parkinson's disease progressed quickly. Furthermore, his condition was made worse by outside variables including addiction and an unhealthy lifestyle. Furthermore, his therapy process was delayed in part by the stress he was under from his family and work relationships. Over time, Ozzy's sickness got increasingly challenging to treat because he did not receive enough support in the early years. 3. The excruciating course of treatment. Ozzy Osbourne endured a protracted and difficult journey in his latter years, undergoing a number of medical procedures and therapies to manage his discomfort and preserve his standard of living. His therapy was not at all simple, even with the help of his family and medical assistants. Details of the techniques and treatments Ozzy employed at this period were disclosed by her personal physician. One of the primary causes of Ozzy's declining health in his final years was Parkinson's disease. According to her doctor, Ozzy used multiple Parkinson's drugs to treat the symptoms of this illness. The main goals of these drugs were to ease muscle stiffness, enhance mobility, and lessen tremors. Ozzy did, however, occasionally encounter periods when the medicine did not have the expected impact, and like the majority of Parkinson's patients, the success of the medications was not always obvious. Doctors explored with additional treatments like physical therapy in addition to the prescription drugs. The purpose of the physical therapy was to assist Ozzy preserve his basic level of mobility, lessen his pain, and enhance his quality of life. However, Ozzy found it very difficult to stick to a regular exercise schedule because of the discomfort from his spinal injuries and the side effects of Parkinson's disease. According to the doctors, these treatments helped Ozzy carry out some everyday tasks on his own, but they were unable to completely heal his condition. In addition to receiving medical care, Ozzy Osbourne's family, especially his wife, Sharon Osbourne, provided vital support. Throughout the course of his therapy, Sharon served as both his manager and companion in addition to being a dedicated caretaker. According to the psychiatrist, Sharon was crucial in helping Ozzy deal with his psychological issues. Ozzy had severe mental health conditions like anxiety and sadness after beating addiction. Sharon was by his side all the time, encouraging him and providing a supportive environment for Ozzy to deal with these difficulties. To deal with the mental health problems brought on by his disease and life's shocks, Ozzy attended psychological therapy sessions in addition to receiving help from his family. According to a psychologist, therapy was essential to helping Ozzy restore their mental stability. However, psychological therapy only partially relieved his mental difficulties. In order to enhance his health during his therapy, Ozzy also looked into complementary therapies including natural remedies and dietary supplements. Despite the lack of conclusive scientific evidence on the efficacy of these techniques for Parkinson's disease, the physician disclosed that Ozzy believed these treatments reduced some of his symptoms, especially the pain brought on by his illnesses. These alternative therapies helped Australians feel more at ease and temporarily reduced pain, even though they couldn't fully replace medical care. In addition to helping with pain management, natural therapies like massages, essential oils, and other holistic treatments also aided Australians psychologically by promoting relaxation and lowering stress levels. Ozzy's loving wife, Sharon Osbourne, was a vital part of his healing process. In addition to being Ozzy's caretaker, Sharon also worked as a manager to assist the doctors in keeping an eye on her health. During his last years, the whole family, especially Ozzy's kids, was essential in keeping him upbeat and supportive. Throughout Ozzy's therapy, Sharon made every effort to keep him at ease. The doctor said that Ozzy's family's unwavering love and support was one of the important things keeping him mentally stable. Ozzy felt less alone in his fight with illness because to his conversations with Sharon, family time, and the closeness of his kids. For the suffering and hardships that Ozzy endured. In addition to physical difficulties, Ozzy Osbourne suffered from severe emotional and mental suffering in his last months. Numerous details of Ozzy's life during this time were provided by doctors and family members, and it is indisputable that he had to contend with both serious physical and mental decline in addition to disease. During his latter days, he experienced a great deal of weariness, depletion, and ongoing discomfort. Despite being treated with a variety of painkillers and physical therapy, Ozzy's chronic, unremitting pain was one of the main problems. Australians were unable to avoid persistent pain, especially from spinal traumas and Parkinson's illness. Although the medications offered short-term respite, doctors said they were unable to stop the disease's progression. Due to his ongoing pain, Ozzy found it very difficult to move and occasionally was unable to perform everyday tasks like eating or walking. Additionally, he was unable to carry out daily tasks that he used to do with ease due to symptoms of Parkinson's disease, such as muscle rigidity and lack of motor control. Doctors noted that Ozzy occasionally felt totally helpless and had to rely on others to move him. According to medical professionals, Ozzy suffered from excruciating pain as a result of both his disease and the chronic consequences of spine injuries he had received earlier in his career. He was unable to get enough sleep because of these pains, which left his body weak and worn out. One of the most devastating things that physicians and family saw as Ozzy's health declined was that he was unable to stand or walk without help. By his latter months, he had lost his ability to take care of himself, despite having previously been one of rock's most potent symbols. According to doctors, Ozzy required assistance with basic daily functions and had to use a wheelchair for several months. Ozzy needed the support of family and medical personnel at every turn. He was unable to retain his freedom due to his spinal injury and the ongoing agony from Parkinson's. According to doctors, the fact that the Australian had to rely on others for daily tasks made him feel ashamed, which only made him feel more depressed and hopeless. In addition to physical difficulties, Ozzy faced intense mental hardships in her latter years. According to his family and physicians, Ozzy felt alone and cut off from the outside world in his last months. He was unable to participate in the things he used to enjoy because of his severe health problems. He was no longer able to see friends, meet admirers, or perform at concerts. He also experienced a deep feeling of loss as a result of his incapacity to perform music. When Ozzy realized he could no longer pursue the thing he loved most in life, the anguish he felt became even more apparent. Ozzy's life revolved around music, so losing the ability to continue providing for his followers was a tremendous psychological blow. He was overcome with feelings of helplessness and disappointment upon realizing that his body was no longer capable of producing the tunes he had once shared with the world. In addition to the physical discomfort, Ozzy also had serious mental health problems. His mental state suffered as a result of the chronic consequences of his sickness. Despite family support, doctors said Ozzy suffered from anxiety and sadness for a long time. Ozzy struggled against enormous melancholy and despair as a result of his physical weariness and inability to live the life he once had. According to psychologists, Ozzy had in-depth discussions about the challenges of confronting death with his family and his perception of leading a terrible existence. But in the last moments of his life, Ozzy came to appreciate the value of family love and Sharon's support, who was always there to support and uplift him. Ozzy had to deal with mental and physical challenges as well as loss-related anxieties and remorse over past errors. According to doctors, in his last months, Ozzy frequently expressed his remorse and sadness over bad choices he had made in life, especially the years of addiction that had a negative influence on his health. But when Ozzy understood he had been forgiven, he found serenity in his final days. He felt more at ease approaching death because of his family's forgiveness, particularly that of Sharon. 5. The conflict with death. Ozzy Osbourne had terrible physical agony during his last months, but he also had profound emotional thoughts about his life. Ozzy had important moments in his last days when he faced death and found inner peace, according to his personal physician and family. In addition to being confessions, the disclosures of his feelings and choices in his final moments also conveyed a powerful lesson about love, forgiveness, and life philosophy. According to his physician, during his last months, Ozzy started thinking back on his life, the decisions he had made, and the errors he had never really admitted. Ozzy endured a lot of suffering during his career, from a tumultuous career to battles with addiction and disease. But he discovered serenity in the face of death. Despite his illustrious career and reputation as a music hero, Ozzy told his doctor that he had regrets about some of his life's choices as he reflected on the past. In particular, he lamented the years lost to addiction and the careless acts that hurt his loved ones and family. But in those last minutes, Ozzy also understood that his family's love and forgiveness, especially that of Sharon Osbourne, who had always supported him through every hardship, had brought him serenity. Despite his condition continuing to deteriorate, Ozzy decided to terminate treatment, the doctor disclosed. This decision to face death quietly was not an act of surrender. Ozzy believed that additional medical care would no longer be helpful and that he wanted to pass out peacefully, free from the suffering and hopelessness brought on by disease. With this choice, Ozzy finally came to terms with the fact that nothing could alter his destiny. According to doctors, in his final days, Ozzy bravely faced death and acknowledged that his time was running away. Ozzy decided to spend his last days in peace, surrounded by the love of his family and loved ones, rather than attempting to prolong his life with techniques that would only make his pain worse. In addition to being his caregiver, Sharon Osbourne was his closest friend throughout his final days, supporting him as he faced death. According to the doctor, Ozzy and Sharon had heartfelt and thought-provoking chats. Ozzy shared his genuine thoughts about life, his love for Sharon, and his family during these conversations. Ozzy acknowledged that he couldn't have survived the most difficult times in his life, particularly his struggles with addiction and sickness, without Sharon. Ozzy revealed that he continued to fight because of Sharon. Prior to his death, her sacrifice and devotion gave him peace of mind. He was incredibly grateful for Sharon's love and expressed this in his parting remarks to her. According to the doctor, Ozzy's last words were not only a farewell but also a significant lesson in how to deal with death and life. With great bravery, the Ozzy left a message for his fans, family, and everyone who had followed his trip. Avoid living with regrets. Forgive others and yourself. Lead a life that is genuinely important. Ozzy revealed that, in spite of a life full of difficulties and errors, he wanted everyone to understand that the secret to mental tranquility is forgiveness. In addition to saying farewell, his parting speech included guidance on how to lead a purposeful life and overcome obstacles. The medical doctor mentioned that Ozzy had no regrets about his past no matter the hardships he had persevered. While going through dying, Ozzy got here to understand that the maximum vital things in lifestyles were not repute or career achievement, however love and forgiveness. His final moments were an opportunity for him to reflect on his mistakes, acknowledge the past, and remember the fact that circle of relatives' love and forgiveness are what carry proper peace to the soul. 6. Ozzy Osbourne's final legacy. Ozzy Osbourne's life turned into an extended journey filled with struggles, challenges, and additionally moments of brilliance. Despite the fact that he has surpassed, the legacy Ozzy leaves at the back of is not simply timeless tune, however also profound instructions approximately resilience, perseverance, and the cost of own family love. Ozzy's very last message turned into not only for his circle of relatives, but for all people who sought after him about how to stay a meaningful existence and face the challenges in lifestyles. Whilst we communicate about Ozzy Osbourne, we cannot ignore his monumental contributions to song, particularly to the heavy metal genre. As one in all the largest icons of rock music, Ozzy not most effective proficient us with iconic songs, but additionally served as a model of relentless creativity. Mythical albums like Snowstorm of Ounce 1980, Diary of a Mad Man 1981, and songs like Loopy Teach, Iron Man, and Paranoid will forever stay in the hearts of enthusiasts. Ozzy's musical legacy is an inseparable part of popular music culture. Rock and metal musicians preserve to look to Ozzy as an countless source of idea, and generations of music fanatics will constantly do not forget the timeless melodies he left in the back of. Now not just the founding father of Black Sabbath, Ozzy also left a deep imprint in his solo profession, building a faithful fan base who will always love him for his irreplaceable contributions to the arena of music. Ozzy Osbourne's life is a testament to restoration and constant combating in opposition to each undertaking. Despite facing numerous difficulties and mistakes, from addiction to illness, Ozzy never gave up. Via his adventure, he proved that no matter how dark existence receives, we will upward push again and start anew. One of the key training Ozzy left behind is in no way to surrender. After overcoming dependency, Ozzy proved that with self-discipline, any venture can be overcome. The years he spent struggling with Parkinson's ailment, enduring continual ache, and the lack of ability to maintain his musical career did now not decrease his love and passion for track. Nothing is impossible. That is the message Ozzy dispatched to his fans and destiny generations. A vital aspect in Ozzy overcoming his hardships became the affection and help from his family, particularly from Sharon Osbourne. The connection among Ozzy and Sharon weathered many storms and stands as an appropriate instance of tolerating love. Sharon turned into not simplest his wife, however additionally his partner, the only who stored Ozzy in the course of the darkest moments of his life. Ozzy's very last message emphasized the significance of affection and forgiveness. Being surrounded by means of the love of his circle of relatives is irreplaceable. And it turned into this love that helped Ozzy locate peace earlier than he surpassed. Ozzy's final message changed into also a vital reminder about forgiveness and confronting the beyond. For the duration of his lifestyles, Ozzy faced many errors and regrets, especially throughout his years of addiction. However, Ozzy learned the lesson of forgiveness, not just for folks who had hurt him, but additionally for himself. His advice to all of us is a reminder we can't exchange the beyond, but we can learn from it to live a better life. Forgiveness is not simplest approximately being beneficent toward others, but also about releasing ourselves from the burdens of past errors. Even though he has handed, Ozzy Osbourne's legacy will forever continue to be inside the hearts of song fans and the worldwide tune tradition. Ozzy changed into not best a song legend, however he turned into also a symbol of resilience, someone who fought through the cruelest challenges in life and saved the flame of ardor for music alive until the very give up. Each technology of musicians and song fans reveals in Ozzy a model of never preventing even inside the face of life's demanding situations and screw-ups. In case you experience stimulated with the aid of Ozzy's story, don't forget to percentage this video and subscribe so that you may not pass over other meaningful stories. Live a lifestyles full of passion and never give up.